Hey nerdy knitters, if you're a beginner knitter and you're ready to tackle your first top or sweater, that's what we're going to talk about today. I have 8 patterns for you that are a perfect introduction to knitting tops and tees. Each of these first 4 tops is just 2 knit rectangles that are seamed at the shoulders and sides. If you've ever knit a dishcloth or a blanket, then you are ready to tackle a top like this. If these first 4 seem a bit simple, then I have 4 more ideas for you that use a little more stitch patterning or the construction's a little bit different, so make sure you stick around for those. Before we jump in, I just want to say, hey, I'm Tanya here at Nerdy Knitting. I'm a certified knitting instructor and a knitwear designer, and my goal is to help you become confident and adventurous in your knitting. Now let's look at our first 4 patterns. All 4 of these are just 2 rectangles. You knit each of them flat back and forth in rows. They have some stitch patterning going on here. And then when you're done, you seam the shoulders and you seam the sides. That's it. It's basically like knitting 2 big washcloths or dishcloths and seaming them up. This first one's called Cumulus and it's from Expression Fiber Arts. Now it's 2 pieces. Both of them are knit flat from the bottom up. There's garter stitch and there's some stockinette stitch. There's a bit of open work and drop stitch patterns for some texture. And the back is slightly longer than the front at the hemline, just for a bit of interest, but it's still pretty simple. There's not much going on here besides some of that stitch pattern. And it also includes a video demonstration for mattress stitch for seaming the sides. Mattress stitch is an essential skill for every knitter to have in their knitting toolbox, and knitting a simple top like this is a great way to practice. Second on the list is the Cancun Boxy Lace Top. You can find this one over on Ravelry. This one again is just 2 rectangles. They're knit flat from the bottom up, back and forth in rows, and then you seam the sides and the shoulders. It's a cropped length, but of course you could adjust it by adding extra repeats of some of the stitch patterns. And there's lots of fun textures going on in this one. So you can explore some simple patterns. There's garter stitch and eyelets, lace mesh, and some drop stitches, which are really fun. There's no shaping. It's just 2 squares. And it's intended to be worn with slightly oversized ease. So choosing an appropriate size for this one is really easy. Number 3 is the Seaspray Tee from Yay for Yarn. This one's really simple as well. 2 rectangles, knit flat from the bottom up, seamed at the shoulders and the sides like the other 2. The texture's a bit different on this one. You're going to start and end with a little bit of garter stitch, and when you're working that flat, that means you knit every row. That will keep those edges from rolling. And then you work a simple textured pattern that creates some lines across the fabric. So if you're not a big fan of the open work or the crop design from the first 2, then this one might be a better fit for you. And number 4 on the list is Hadi, another one by Expression Fiber Arts. Now this one's a comfy oversized tee with an easy lace pattern. The front and back are knit separately, but this time you're using the 3 needle bind off to join the shoulders, which is not hard to do. And then the sides are seamed together. This one does have a little bit of neck shaping and then picking up stitches to finish the neckline and a little bit of trim around the sleeves. And it also uses some lace and just basic increases and decreases. This pattern also includes a link to a video tutorial that covers some of the trickier bits in the pattern. Since we've got that 3 needle bind off and a little bit of neck shaping and picking up stitches for the neck and the sleeves, to finish things off nicely, you'll find a video that will help you walk through those steps. And those are all skills that are important for knitters who want to knit sweaters and garments. Now, before we tackle our next 4, why don't you give this video a thumbs up and leave me a comment if you have a recommendation for another boxy oversized tee that would be pretty simple for beginner knitters to knit. Now these 4 have a little bit more going on. They're not quite as simple as the first 4. This first one's called the Simple Tee from Church Mouse Yarns. Now this one's a 2-for-1 pattern. There's a sleeveless option and also a version with sleeves and 2 lengths as well. You can have a cropped length or a hip length. And we've got side vents going on, and it's just simple stockinette stitch. So nothing going on here that's really outside of your comfort zone, just knitting and purling flat back and forth in rows. But it does have some neck shaping and some shoulder shaping, and the sides are seamed together like the previous 4. So this one is just a bit of a step up with some of that neck and shoulder shaping. If you've ever seen those words at the same time in a pattern, it usually applies right here where you're doing the sleeve shaping and the neck shaping at the same time. And this is a good pattern to practice those skills. Number 2 in this category is the Cloverleaf top from Felicia O'Connell. This one's a bit more advanced. It's an all-over lace design, There's no shaping, it's just two identical pieces that are seamed together. But instead of a basic texture like garter or stockinette, we do have an all over lace pattern, so that one makes this a little more difficult. And along with that lace, you're also going to learn how to use an I-cord bind off for the neckline. So if you're looking for a lacy top, that one might be a good idea, as well as this next one, the Cascades Tee. Now this one is another knit tee with some lace at the neckline, but it's a different construction. It's worked flat in one piece. You begin at the bottom front hem and you work the front. You're working the lace at that neckline. You're binding off your neckline stitches, and then you're continuing right there, right to the back, and then finishing at the back hem. And then you seam the two sides together and you pick up some stitches to finish the neckline. So that's a pretty interesting construction. It's one piece. You're starting at the front, working up here, and then carrying on and working right down the back to the back before you seam the sides. So if you're looking for something that's a little bit different, that's a good option. And number 4 is Vanora. Now this one again is worked in two pieces, just rectangles. There's no shaping, but it's worked from the top down. The back is a full all over lace pattern, and it does have a chart and written instructions. And it ends with a basic rib. And then the front begins with that same lace pattern, but then it's finished in stockinette for the torso and then also finished in rib. And then you seam the two pieces together, leaving the rib unseamed for some side vents. So with this one, you're working top down. You've got some lace going on, all over lace on the back, and then just a bit on the top on the front. So it's a nice variation on this boxy tee. So if you're ready to knit a top for the summer, then grab 1 or 2 of these and knit yourself some summer tops. And if you're looking for more beginner patterns, take a look at this video right here. Like this video, share it with your knitting friends, and be sure to subscribe if you like to get nerdy with your knitting.